Okay, that's sunrise, noon, sunset, and midnight. And if we consider the atmosphere at different times of day, then think of it just after sunrise. You've got the sun in the 12th house, and that's supposed to be a weak placement for the sun. And everybody, and I honestly mean everybody, will tell you this. But I have to ask you, really, is the sun in the 12th a weak position? Maybe it's actually a very strong position, because the sun is rising and it's dispelling the darkness, and it seems so totally obvious. And it would also help explain why so many powerful individuals have the sun in the 12th house. Yet people involved with astrology don't see it this way, or don't want to see it this way, and will insist that the sun in the 12th is a weak position. And why they say this is a mystery to me. So at this point we have the 4 quadrants, and if we add a couple of other spokes, 2 per quadrant, we end up with 12 houses, or 6 pairs of opposites, we could say. So if you have 8 degrees and 12 minutes of a sign on a cusp, you're going to have 8 degrees and 12 minutes of the opposite sign on the opposing cusp. And this is easy to know if we learn 6 pairs of opposite signs rather than 12 signs one after the other. So the cusp of any house is the front door, so to speak. And it can be illustrated this way. Here we have 4, look up in the 10th house there, and we have 4 planets in Leo and a Leo midheaven. This is strongly Leo. And we can see it because the Leo planets will exit through the Leo cusp. So they're pure Leo. And the ruler of the 10th is in the 10th, Leo ruled by the sun, and the sun's in the 10th. And the 10th is an angle. And it's strong for good or bad. And the fact that the ruler of the 10th, the significator of business, is in the house of business, means that business is like a self-contained area of life. And in some way it's independent of other areas. However, if we start with a slightly different birth time, and all it takes here is a minute or 2, this can put late degrees of Cancer on the midheaven. And we can see, we understand that this is very different, because the Leo planets will now have to express through Cancer, because energy exits through the cusp. So they're going to be watered down, or we might say that the fire of Leo is doused to an extent. And in addition, the moon is going to become very important, since she rules the sign on the midheaven. She rules the sign on the cusp, and she's going to be in another house than the 10th, or she is another house than the 10th. And so the person's business may involve other people if the moon's in the 7th, or it may depend on the person, him or herself, if the moon is in the 1st. Because, you know, some people are the company, and it's like Martha Stewart, that she in many ways was the company itself. So some companies are very dependent on or very closely connected with the founder or the person whose name is on the company. Okay, I want to go around the chart looking at the 6 pairs of opposites, and I want to see what sense we can make of them, or rather we'll try and see what type of information the signs on cusps will provide. So the first is yourself, and the 7th house is other people. So let's say you have 12 degrees of Virgo rising. Then we know that you have the same number of degrees, 12, but the opposite sign, Pisces, on the house that describes the other people in your life. Okay, so we know the key word for Virgo is I analyze, and we know that Virgo is on the house of self. So to state it simply, you are in life to analyze yourself. That's why you're in life. You're here to analyze yourself. You're not particularly going to be here to or interested in analysing your children or analysing your partner or analysing philosophy. You're here to analyse yourself, and that is a key for you. And many types of behaviour and many circumstances will arise from that starting point, that you're in life to analyse yourself. And this is one of the reasons why combining signs with house cusps, or keywords, key phrases for signs with the meaning of the house can be so valuable. So, if you're Virgo rising, at the same time that you're here to analyze yourself, you have Pisces, whose keyword is I believe, on the house of other people. So you're to come to believe in other people. So the more you analyze yourself, the better able you are to believe in other people, and vice versa. So, by combining a description of the sign with the meaning of the house, you come up with a statement of the background against which to judge the person's life and actions. This is Sigmund Freud with a Scorpio rising, and the keyword for Scorpio is I desire. So Freud desires in the area of self, or he desires for the self.